Welcome back, my darlings, to another juicy episode. Today we're going to talk all about spiritual dreams. Ooh. Now, spiritual dreams are absolutely amazing, and you've probably had one and been blissfully unaware. So I'm going to explain to you the different types and the rarest spiritual dream you could ever have. And I want to know in the comments, please let me know, have you ever experienced this? Because they are so rare, but once they happen, oh my God, they're the most profound things you'll ever have in your life, and it'll stay with you for life. So you'll know exactly what I mean. But dreams and spirituality, they go hand in hand. So if you've ever seen those, have you ever seen those beautiful dream catchers that you can put above your bed? I love those because they've actually got white feathers. And so white feathers are my thing. I love them. But dreams are very spiritual, and it's the easiest way for your guides, your spiritual realm, the spirituality within you to come to surface when you are actually asleep. Now, the reason for that is because most people that aren't working as a psychic or aren't actually spiritually connecting in and making a conscious effort to do spirituality and practice it, when you're asleep, you're surrendered. So when you're asleep, you're relaxing, you're in your zone, you completely just chill. And so in that moment, what happens is the veil between the two worlds of spirituality and the human world is actually very, very thin. So it's very easy for them to come through and start giving you messages. And I know a lot of my spirit school students, when they first start out, they start having the most bizarre dreams. They're like, Katie, I got woken up in the night, or Katie, I've had this experience, and I'll tell you some of their experiences as we go along. And I'm like, yeah, it's completely normal. Spirit come all times of the night, and you'll have all these different experiences. But some of them are really key. And although having disturbances in your sleep isn't always lovely, it's not always what we want, is it? But there's always a key message to it. They don't just harass you for no reason. So if you have experience any of these, you're very special, but also it tells me that you are spiritually connecting, and actually your barriers and your connection to the other side is actually quite thin. So you might need to do some work and put some protection in place and start to understand what skills you've got and what psychic abilities you have. So let's get into this. So the first spiritual dream that you can have is a prediction. So a prediction can be a prediction for you. It can be something for your future. It can be something for the mankind that's happening in the world, or it can be for somebody that you know or someone you're not even that close to. So predictions are basically something that comes true in the future, but you have a dream about it before it actually takes place. So an example of this, which wasn't a particularly nice one for me, but I'll share it with you. When I was very young, I think I was around the age of about 10 maybe, and I was going to sleep and sitting there fearing for my life, as always, that spirit would be there. And I had a dream that I was in the middle of the sea and I was drowning. I was in the sea and I was drowning. As I looked around, there was people all around me, screaming, crying, children, inflatable boats, and I couldn't understand what was happening. I was treading water, I was trying to keep up, but I was very out of breath and I was very panicky. And as I looked around, this is how much I remember it, clear as day, looked around, I saw that people had like an oriental look about them. And I was like, okay, where am I? What's going on? And then I could see in the very far, it was quite greyed out, it wasn't very clear, but there was a boat and like a big ferry, and it was starting to go down into the ocean. So for some reason, I was in the middle of the ocean and I was sinking and I was drowning. And then when I woke up, and I was really quite disturbed about it because I actually loved water. It was the only place I actually felt safe as a kid. I was literally called a mermaid. So swimming in the sea, all of that was never a fear I had. And I woke up and I told my mum about the dream. And I said, I've had this really horrible dream, had this, this and this. And she was just like, okay. And I thought, why is she looking at me like that? And she's like, okay. And then she said, right, and you had this dream when? And I said, last night. She's like, okay. And she just kept going, okay. She was getting more and more nervous with her okays. And next thing you know, later on that day, I heard on the news when I was at my granddad's that a boat had gone down and loads of people had drowned in that I'm not sure of the area where it was, but basically a boat went down and the people on the boat were of Orient of origin. So it made complete sense. But watching it on a TV and seeing what I had dreamt about, I was just like, what is going on? What on earth? And so no wonder my mom was going, okay. Okay. And so that was a prediction. That was one that stayed with me for, well, as you can see, I can still tell it really clearly. But it was one that actually made me feel like scared of my own power, scared of my abilities more than I was already. Because how could I have possibly known that? Like, how could I have been there? How could I have gone there and been in that situation? It's like terrifying. So that was a prediction. Since then, I've had some nice ones, some more fun ones. But you can predict something for so many different people. And again, it doesn't have to be someone that you're connected to. It doesn't have to be a situation you're connected to. It can just be at that moment in time, your energy is open to receive. And that's what the highest energy frequency is at that moment. So just let me explain that. So if I'm wide open spiritually, which I was, and if there was profound energy being given off of fear, concern, and it was in that part of the world at that time, I'm a match for that because I'm fearful, I'm scared, I'm terrified because I'm nervous anyway, going to sleep because of spirit. Those people are drowning, they're nervous, terrified, fearing for their lives. So we are in very different situations, very different parts of the world, but we're an energetic match. So that's why it's come through. So if you're having a dream and a prediction about someone you've not seen for years and years, you're like, well, I've got no link to them, Katie. Like, I haven't seen them in years. Why would I predict that? There's something going on in their life that you're a match for. So you could have something, say if you're getting engaged and they got engaged, that you're an energy match for each other. So it doesn't matter that the person's not particularly close to you. You can still have a connection of some kind. And the frequency and prediction works through that way. So that's prediction. So how many of you have experienced that? Let me know in the comments. The second one is when you are astral traveling. Now, this I find fascinating. However, there is a twist. There is a twist, and there is a bit of a dark energy to this, but I'll tell you the both energies. So the first one, let's start with the dark. When this happened to me in my younger years and actually into my adulthood, and even when I was married, so that far into adulthood, I would get taken from my bed. And when I say taken from my bed, I mean spirit would grab my ankles and pull me out of the bed. And it would feel so real and so quick. Like there's actually, there's a trending reel at the moment that reminds me of it. It's where they talk about people sit on the floor. You may have seen it. Let me know if you've seen it. They sit on the floor and then they go, I'm just driving my car. And then someone pulls their feet and they go really fast. And then the smaller person pulls the bigger person, they go really slow. Have you all seen it? Do you know what I mean? But basically, it's like that. They literally take your feet and pull you and drag you. So you fall back and you just like literally just get dragged out the bed. And I remember, because I used to always sleep on my belly, always sleep face planked to the pillow on my belly. And I'd see the claw marks going down the bed from where I tried to hang on from when it happened. So can you imagine like the claw marks? So they take you from your bed. And the reason they did that was because they're trying to show me something. So back then I didn't know because all the things I'd experienced was really dark. But it's not always dark. They're trying to show you something, take you somewhere. So it could be to go and visit a loved one. It could be to go and see into the future. It could be literally anything. They could go and show you and want to take you into your next home. Say if you're trying to work out where you're going to live next. They'll take you to a house. Come to this house. Let's see it. We'll show you. So astral travel doesn't always have to be awful. But when they take you, there's always something that's profound when you're there. So you remember it. You remember being taken from the bed. You won't forget that in a hurry. And then you also remember where you are. Like it'll be very descriptive. There'll be very key things for you to notice. You'll also may hear conversations. I've been in these situations where I've astral traveled to a family house and heard a conversation from way back in time, which then when I said to family members, They said, how would you possibly have known that? So sometimes you're meant to know things. Sometimes you're meant to hear things. So that's why they do it. So if you've ever been taken from your bed and you've astral traveled, let me know. It's very exciting. The one that isn't the nicest, and truly to this day, I don't really understand the purpose of it. I genuinely don't. And it gives me the full heebie-jeebies. Like even thinking about it now, it's just like, oh, it's horrible. And our producer here in the podcast studio has just said that they've experienced it as well. And it was weird and horrible. And it was always when they stayed in a certain house. Interesting. So I'm talking about sleep paralysis. Has anyone experienced it? When you are literally frozen in your bed. Now, sleep paralysis is so weird because you're physically aware that your body isn't okay. Like there's something, like you're literally paralyzed. You literally can't move. You're aware that you're dreaming. You're aware that you're not in control, but then you try and wake yourself up. So the amount of times I've screamed really loud in my dream, because I'm like, wake me up, because it's such a, if you've ever experienced it, it's like a really heavy feeling inside of you. I'm just going to ask our producer, did you feel the really heaviness inside of you? Yeah, like heavy, like you've got lead weight inside of you. Yeah. So that's what it feels like, a really heavy lead weight, like you're being pulled down. So I remember screaming to someone to wake me up, screaming and trying to hit my husband with my one arm like that. It took all my strength to lift my hand up to whack him one to go, wake me up, wake me up. And then you really feel that you've fought for your life in that dream, like fought for your life. And then when you open your eyes, it's like, like a full on, like you've run a marathon, like you're literally fearful. And I remember waking my husband up, and because my head would vibrate, it'd do this weird thing where it'd like twitch and vibrate. And so I'd wake him up and say, did you hear me like screaming? Did you hear me? Did you feel me whacking you? Did you hear me scream? And he'd be like, what? What have you woke me up for? Why are you waking me up for, to ask whether you heard you screaming? No, I didn't. And when I had those, I would literally be too scared to go to sleep again because they're so horrible. And the spiritual connection with them, I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know what it is, but they're horrible. And it feels as if your body is just being weighed down. Sometimes you can float outside of yourself and look at yourself from above, and that's even more terrifying because in that moment you can actually feel, have I passed? Have I moved on? Something happened to me in my sleep? It's very, very discombobulating, very weird. So if you've experienced that, I would just say the only thing that I've ever linked this to is that if you are getting those, it can be when you've got a lot on your mind. So when you're like very particularly heavy, there's something going on with you, you're maybe sleep deprived as well and feeling like there's a lot of energy you've kind of consumed. So if you are getting them, have an energy release, go and do some energy releasing practices, have some salt baths, grab yourself some tourmaline and grounding crystals, spend some time in nature, just release, 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 and you'll find that they'll get less and less. Now, the last one, which is the most beautiful, amazing thing ever. Oh, I love these. And I can't believe I'm going to share it with you now. Like, it's so wonderful. I feel like I've only had 2 of these in my whole life, and I wish I'd had more. I really, really wish I'd had more. But this is when a spirit comes to greet you in your sleep. So one of your loved ones, like a visitation. And they're so profound, so beautiful, because in that moment, you can literally, you feel all the feels. You feel everything. You feel so connected. You hear their voice. You feel their touch. You remember the colours. Everything's magnified. You remember their feelings, their voice. Like you feel everything. If they hold your hand, you feel the love. It's just the most profound thing ever. And in that moment, you can actually feel that they're back again, that they're there. Now, they do this usually when there's something big happening in life, like a marriage, like a baby on the way, something that's a big anniversary. So they come back because the energy is so strong around the thought of them not being there that you end up kind of making a stronger connection to them so they can come through. But those moments are just moments you'll cherish, because when you lose someone you love, having time to kind of just be with them again and just hold their hands and just speak to them just for that one moment, it's everything. It's everything. And they're the most beautiful experiences. So if you've had a dream of someone you love, if you've remembered the colours, remembered the words, the feelings, you've woke up maybe with tears, or you've woke up happy, or you've heard a message from them, that's a spiritual visitation. And they're so precious, so rare, and so profoundly real. So you are one of the lucky few. So these are the spiritual dreams. These are things that spirit will do whilst you're asleep. And like I said, it's because you're surrendering. And the more connected, the only downside of practicing spiritualism, this is the only downside, you don't get as many of these anymore, because spirit connects to you whenever you're all kind of tuned in. Whenever you call in on them, they're there. So you don't really have that need for them to come in while you're asleep. But if you are starting out on a spiritual journey, or if you're starting to put spiritual practices in place and you're manifesting for your work and whatnot, then you may start to wake up between the hours of 3 and 4 a.m. These are the awakening hours. This is when they're trying to get a message to you. They're trying to tell you you're not alone. They're wanting to connect in with you, again, because the veil is thin between our world and their world at that specific time, wherever you are in the world, 3 and 4 a.m. And also you may experience any of those dreams or any of those sleep interruptions because they are making that precious connection with you. It's just amazing. So I hope that you love this. I hope you found it interesting. And I hope you go on to have the most incredible spiritual dreams and build a beautiful relationship with your guides. Now, as we always do at the end of our episodes, woo, what can you see? I'm waving. If you can't see because you're watching, you're listening, not watching, then I am waving my pink feather. And we are going to set the intention with this pink feather for all our beautiful listeners, so you leave this episode feeling uplifted and joyous. So I'm placing the feather in my palm, and we're going to set the intention, and it's coming your way. So we're going to say, Spirit guides, forces the highest good in intention of purity and light. Please help everyone to have a beautiful, restful sleep. Let them have inspired ideas in the morning. Let them feel the love of spirituality. Let them feel the most delightful messages coming through when they decide to make a connection. So yes, we know you love to visit. Yes, we know you love to send messages through, but just make sure it's when they're ready and if they're ready. We love you, Spirit. Thank you. And your feather now, my darlings, is on its way. Not having much luck with these this week. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. And I love you all. And I'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Bye.